Hello and welcome to a session I'm calling the Pilates 5. We are going to be focusing on 5 primary Pilates exercises from the classical repertoire sequence. You will need a mat and a towel, perhaps, and you might also want to use a squishy ball if you have one. If you don't have one, you could easily substitute a yoga block or a pillow or a rolled up towel. We're going to come down onto your back, stretching arms long, reaching legs into total body stretch. Take a nice big inhale and nice long exhale. Noticing the breath, observing the breath. As you inhale, let the rib cage expand. And as you exhale, feel a gentle contraction, abdominals deepening. Bring the arms into a T shape, bend the knees so feet are on the mat, and let's sway the knees side to side, twisting through the hips and trunk of the body. Bring both knees into the chest, wrapping arms underneath the legs, rocking side to side across the low back. Breathe into the low back and exhale, release. Keep one knee into the chest, hands gently on top of that bent knee as we circle the foot. 8 times one direction and reverse. Straightening the leg up to the sky, holding the hamstring, point and flex that foot about 8 times. Release that leg, bending the opposite knee in, circling that foot. Both directions as we inhale and exhale, and then holding the hamstring, lengthen the leg up to the sky and point and flex. Gentle warm up. Release the leg down. Reach the arms overhead, knees bent, hip width apart. Parallel legs. If you have a squishy ball or a yoga block, you're going to bring that between the knees and squeeze into the center as we do an ab curl up. Exhale, curling, head, neck, shoulders, upper back, and lengthening those arms long and strong, reaching to the bottom end of the mat. If you've got the squishy ball, you'll squeeze into the center as you exhale, ab curl up. Using something between the knees helps us to center our energy, to squeeze into that center line. Flexing the abdomen at the top. Inhale, return down to neutral. Stay at the top and reach one arm longer. Find a side bend in that side body. Try the other side and curl up a little bit higher. Squeeze into the knees, into the center line. And let's start to pulse and pump the arms into our first technical Pilates move, the hundreds. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Try to curl up a little higher with each exhale. Squeeze into that center line with every exhale. Stay focused and present. Reach the arms longer. Let's try a few sets with the legs up in tabletop now. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale, curl up a little higher. Good job. If you got that squishy ball, we'll place it between the ankles, straightening the legs, flexing the feet. Reach the arms overhead as we prepare for roll-ups and roll-downs. We're going to widen the shoulder blades and draw the shoulder blades together. Try to keep your elbows unchanged. So not from the elbows, from the shoulder blades. You'll feel the backs of the shoulders lift from the floor and drop into the floor. We're going to try to keep the shoulders closer to the floor as we do these roll ups and roll downs so that we're not overly rounding or hunching our upper back. If you'd like to use the towel at the low back for some additional support, you may do so. Exhale, flexing up, sitting tall at the top, squeezing into the center. Your next exhale to roll down, reaching overhead. Exhale, curling up, sitting neutral at the top, and pull abdominals in, lowering it down, reaching overhead. So the legs are unchanged, the energy squeezing into the center from the legs and arms and abdomen, sitting tall. And we'll try a few where the knees are bent. We can place that squishy ball between the knees to keep the centering, focus. And I'm flexing the feet and dropping the heels, anchoring down into the mat. And rolling up to those unchanged legs. Inhale at the top and exhale, rolling down. Inhale at the bottom. Few more times. Move the towel out of the way. Exhale, slowly lowering down onto your back. Moving the squishy ball out of the way for this next one, we'll roll onto our side for a side lying leg series. The leg kick, that quintessential Pilates leg kick exercise with a few variations. Flex the foot as you sweep the leg forward, point the toes as you draw the leg back and behind you. Your bottom leg is straight if you can. Your top leg is straight and reaching super long with every sweep and controlled kick of the leg. Upper body is unchanged. We'll add some pulses here. So we'll flex the foot forward, pulse, pulse. We'll point, take it back, pulse, pulse. Inhale forward, pulse, pulse. Exhale back, pulse, pulse. As you exhale back, let's deepen those abdominals. Try to maintain your balance. Soften the shoulders so they're not gripping. Connecting the breath to the move. We'll add a little semicircle at the top here. Flex the foot and sweep it forward. Point the toes as you draw a semicircle up and to the back. And again, we'll do about 6 of these. And then we'll reverse, keeping the toes pointed, leg behind you. Let's semicircle it forward and then sweep that straight leg back and behind, hip extension. Exhale, semicircle, sweep it back. Coming up a little higher onto that bottom elbow so your side body is lifted away from the floor. We'll do single kicks, flex forward, point back. Try to lift up and out of that bottom shoulder. Side body stays lifted from the floor, and that top hand can move to the top hip. We'll try about 8 of these. Good job. Coming up a little higher now. You may like to use a towel under the bottom knee. Continuing with the side kick, but from a different, more advanced starting position. Dropping the bottom hand down underneath the shoulder, top hand on the hip. Try to lift that leg parallel to the floor as we flex, sweep the leg forward, point, reach through the leg as the hip extends. Inhale forward, exhale back. Lift the leg a little higher. Stabilize the upper body. You can do this. Happy thoughts. Reach that back leg long and top arm overhead. Get that nice long line of energy. before lowering gracefully down. Before we switch sides, we'll come all the way down, stacking hips and shoulders and legs one on top of the other. Open up that top arm, a semicircle, so the arms end in a T position, and then bring it back to the start. Sweep that arm close to the side of the face, skimming the floor as we open into that chest expansion, and bringing it back. Sweeping up and overhead, open into the T shape, look at that reaching arm, and bring it back. We'll do about 4 of these. Try to keep the hips stacked, legs stacked, and relaxed. Let's hold this last T shape, bringing the opposite hand to that top knee. Breathe into the twist. And exhale, returning the top arm forward. Great. Let's switch sides. Coming down onto that bottom elbow, let's straighten both legs, piking them slightly forward in front of you. Hips and shoulders stacked. Flex the feet and lift that top leg same height as the hip. Try to keep it lifted. It tends to drop lower as we fatigue the muscle. Inhale, flex forward. Exhale, point the toes. Long, lovely sweeping leg back behind you. Feel a nice stretch in the front of the hip and quadricep. Inhale forward, exhale, sweep it back. Adding those double pulses. Forward, forward, exhale, back and back. Inhale, flex, flex. Exhale, point, point. Check that the leg hasn't dropped below the height of the hip. And the bottom leg is staying still and stabilized and supportive. Adding that semicircle, back leg is going to point and semicircle forward. Flex the foot as you sweep it back behind you again. Semicircle forward, flex and sweep back. And then we'll reverse. Sweep it forward and let's point and arc that leg up and back. Try to keep those hips steady and stable. Not a whole lot of movement there. You can do it. Come up a little higher to that bottom elbow, so the bottom side body is lifting up and away from the ground. And another set of leg kicks, controlling it forward with a flexed foot, pointing it back, lengthening behind you. Inhale and exhale. Lift up and out of that bottom shoulder. Top hand can stay on the floor in front of you or can be on that top hip. Great. We're going to come up even higher into a kneeling position, maybe using a towel under that bottom knee. Drop the hand down, hand under shoulder, and stretch that top leg long. We're going to try to lift the top leg so it's parallel to the floor. Inhale, sweep it forward. Exhale, point and lengthen it back behind you. Inhale forward, lift and lengthen back. Flex the foot, reach through the heel, and then point and stretch through the tip of the toes. Lift a little higher. You can do this. Keep the leg behind you as that top arm reaches overhead, long and lovely, and a slow lowering down. Let's come all the way down onto our side, using that towel as a bit of a neck support pillow, stacking hips and shoulders, knees bent. We'll draw that semicircle with the top arm opening into a T shape, long collarbone here, and then bring the arm back the way that it came. See how straight that top arm can be, even though the elbow is soft. Let the fingertips skim above the floor. So we're really finding that range of motion. And breathe into this twist. Exhale, bring it back. One more time. Inhale, open, stretch a little longer, a little farther, arms in opposition. That opposite hand can come to the top knee. As we hold and breathe in, one more moment of a reflective twist. And bringing that back arm forward. Great. Moving into our 4th out of 5 Pilates exercises. Engage the squishy ball back between the inner knees. Feet are hip width apart, maybe a little closer. Move into a bridge sequence. First, we're going to articulate the spine, rolling the hips up. So start with the tailbone and be sequential. Move through that sacrum, low back, middle back, until you feel some pressure in the shoulder blades, and then start to melt from the shoulder blade area through the middle, lower back, through the sacrum, tailbone, all the way down into neutral. Exhale, as you tip the tailbone up, feel some flexion, deepening in the abdomen. Squeeze the knees towards the center at the top, and then lower it down. I've got the arms reaching up to the sky, nice and still, palms in. You can also keep the arms down by the side or overhead. Let the heels press, let each toe drop down as the hips roll up. Exhale, navel in and melt back down into the ground. Bridge part 2 is a neutral bridge, a hip lift. So you're keeping the shape of the trunk of the body and the hips and pelvis, and in one unit you're lifting it up, squeezing in, lowering it down, squeezing in, still focused, still centering, still precise with our movements. Let's stay at the top for a little bit more squeeze in the abdomen and inner thighs, and lower that down. For the next part of this bridge sequence, we're not going to use anything between the knees, but we're still going to keep that thought process of centering. Lift the hips up in your neutral bridge, and then keep the hips floating as one leg glides into tabletop. Place the foot quietly down, and then the other leg glides into tabletop and place it down. Alternate side to side. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. The hips might start to sink, so you're going to keep them up. You're going to draw abdominals in a little bit deeper. And both feet down. Let's lower the hips slowly down to the ground. Moving into the full expression of the bridge. Take one leg through tabletop and extend it up to the sky. Point the toes as the leg lowers halfway down so the knees are beside each other, and flex the foot as you lift it back up to the ceiling. Try about 3 or 4 of those controlled leg kicks before bringing the foot back through tabletop and placing it down to the ground. Leg number 2, move through tabletop and extend it up to the sky. The hips are still high, and now lower and lift the leg as you point and flex the foot. Bring the foot down. I've just placed the ball back between the knees for a final little squeeze as we finish up with pulses, lowering the hips 1 inch down and 1 inch up. Squeeze in deeper. Abs, 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 even though the glutes and hamstrings are working like crazy as well. Lift the arms to the sky, and let's try some of those shoulder blade wideners, and then drop the backs of the shoulders down to the mat. It's very difficult not to do this from your elbows. The arms are being moved by the energy between the shoulder blades, widening and contracting. Reach the arms overhead and slowly squeeze in as we lower the spine down into the mat. And arms float by the side. Great. And then wrap arms around the legs, hugging knees in, rock it out side to side. Stretch it out, total body stretch. Bringing squishy ball between the hands as we do this transitional roll up, squeezing in, sitting up tall at the top. Reach to the sky and then let's exhale and fold forward over those legs. Moving into our last exercise. As we're coming down onto your front body in a prone position, legs back behind you, about mat width apart, wider than the hips. Moving into the Pilates swimming exercise. Take one leg in the opposite arm and let's lift and reach it away from the midsection and lower it down carefully. Exhale up and inhale, lower. Alternate from side to side. Keep some steadiness across the low back and the gaze is down to the ground so that the neck stays in line. Bring the arms by the side now. Pick up the front of those shoulders as we squeeze shoulder blades, lifting arms and legs up and away from the ground into this back bend. Palms facing in. You can keep the arms there or try T-shape arms. Exhale to float up, squeeze in, inhale, down. You can keep the arms there or take the arms wider into a wide V shape overhead. Exhale up, inhale, lower. Perhaps even bringing the arms closer to each other so the thumbs are up to the ceiling, shoulder width apart. Long total body stretch and exhale, lift up, lower down. Maybe the abdomen can draw in as you lift up. Stay at the top and move into your full swimming exercise, alternating the arms fluttering, the legs kicking back behind you. So switch, 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 switch. Inhale 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, inhale 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4. Reach a little higher and longer for a brief moment before lowering it down. Stacking hands, rest the head on top of those hands as you bend the knees and sway the legs side to side. Release through the hips and back. Soften through the neck and shoulders. Let's find a quadricep stretch. Same side arm is holding the top of that foot as you pull the heel into the glute. Let's switch sides. Don't forget to breathe. Release the stretch coming up onto the elbows a little higher so the chest is fully lifted away from the ground. Looking forward in a stretch through the neck, I'm bringing my bottom teeth in front of my top teeth. Great stretch for the jaw and neck area. Making little kissy faces to the clouds. And looking down, we're going to pick up the midsection, the abdomen, the thighs, the legs as the toes curl into the ground. Let's move into elbow plank here. Keep the breath, keep the form and alignment. Press back deeply into those heels and lift up and out of those elbows and shoulders. Piking the hips and tailbone higher. Make space for the knees to drop down to the mat as we sit back. Rest the forehead in your child's pose. Walk the arms over to one side, get into that side body stretch. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let's switch sides. Dropping forehead lower, sitting hips back deeper. And finally moving the arms back to the center for one more breath in the middle. Inhale, walk the hands back, making little fists and just tapping the low back, hips area. Little self-massage here, releasing any tension, tenderness, strain that may have occurred. Roll up to a low kneeling position and just roll back the shoulders a few times. Looking side to side, breathing in, and that concludes your Pilates 5 focused exercises for today. Thanks for joining. Until next time.